You are 17 when you begin noticing that the railway station has two different kinds of trains. The first kind still looks familiar. Passenger cars arrive beneath the iron roof of Leipzig station. Mothers carry bags. Soldiers lean from windows. Children wave at fathers they are supposed to believe will return soon. The second kind does not appear on public timetables. They arrive at strange hours. Guards stand beside them. Windows are covered or difficult to see through. Sometimes you notice frightened faces. Sometimes you notice nothing at all. Your father works in the signal office. His name is Eric Keller, and he has spent 22 years making sure trains move where the paperwork tells them to move. When you ask about the guarded trains, he becomes unusually interested in his dinner. "Not our business," he says. That sentence becomes one of the most common sentences of your childhood. Not our business. Your mother Greta says it when neighbors disappear. Your teachers say it when someone asks why another teacher suddenly does not return. Adults say it softly because children are nearby. Children repeat it loudly because adults do, and you learn something important without anyone teaching it directly. Questions can be dangerous, so you become good at not asking them. You are an apprentice mechanic at the railway depot. You want to work on locomotives after the war. Your hands are usually black with coal dust and machine grease, and your younger sister Lotte complains that you leave fingerprints on everything you touch. Lotte is 12. She collects train tickets from the station floor and keeps them inside a biscuit tin beneath her bed. She says that after the war, she wants to visit every city printed on them. You tell her she will need a much larger tin. She tells you that you will have to come with her. By then, there is hardly a boy in Germany who has escaped the organizations built around him. You march, you exercise, you memorize slogans. You are taught that Germany is surrounded by enemies and that sacrifice is the highest form of loyalty. At 15, these ideas sound enormous. At 17, they mostly sound exhausting. But something has changed. The victories announced when you were younger have become withdrawals described as planned movements. Cities that were supposedly safe are being bombed. Wounded soldiers appear at the station in increasing numbers. And the men returning from the east do not look like the men on recruitment posters. One evening, you are helping your father repair a damaged signal lamp when he takes a small pocket watch from his coat. The case is scratched brass. The glass has a thin crack across one corner. It belonged to his father. He places it in your hand. You laugh. "I haven't been drafted yet." "I know." "Then why are you giving me this?" Your father looks toward the tracks. "Because everyone keeps telling you what time it is for Germany." You wait. He taps the watch. "Learn to look for yourself." You do not understand what he means. 3 months later, your draft notice arrives. You are 18. Your mother reads it twice. Lotte stops collecting tickets. Your father says nothing at all. At the induction center, your civilian clothes disappear into a sack. They are replaced by field gray cloth, heavy boots, a belt, and a uniform that feels as if it belongs to somebody older. For the first few days, you keep expecting to see yourself when you look down. Instead, you see a soldier. Training teaches you how quickly individuality can disappear. You stand when everyone stands, run when everyone runs, eat when everyone eats, sleep when you are permitted to sleep. You learn the basic tasks expected of an infantryman, but the most important lesson is simpler. Act before fear has time to argue. Your closest friend in training is Dieter Falk. He is 19 from Dresden and wanted to become an architect. He sketches buildings on scraps of paper whenever the instructors are not watching. Barracks, churches, railway stations. Once, he draws the entire training camp as a grand palace. You tell him it needs more toilets. He adds 20. Your platoon sergeant catches you laughing. His name is Anton Weiss. He is 34 and has already spent years on the Eastern Front. He stares at the drawing, then at Dieter, then at you. "Enjoy it," he says. Neither of you understands. By May 1944, you do. Your unit is sent east. The train passes through Poland and continues toward Belarus. Every kilometer changes the landscape. Damaged stations, abandoned equipment, villages with missing roofs, fields that should contain crops but contain craters and weeds. The further east you travel, the less the war resembles anything you were taught. You expected a front line. Instead, you discover an entire country damaged by occupation. Your position lies near Orsha. The German army has been in this part of the Soviet Union for years, and that history surrounds you before anybody explains it. Some villages are half empty, others have been burned. Food is taken under military orders. Homes are occupied by soldiers. Civilians move around you carefully, watching uniforms before faces. You tell yourself you arrived only yesterday. Whatever happened before you came cannot belong to you. It is a comforting thought. You will use it often. Your platoon sleeps in and around a farm on the edge of a village. A Belarusian woman named Nadia lives nearby with her teenage son, Mikhail. You know their names because Dieter asks. Weiss tells him to stop bothering civilians. Dieter asks whether learning someone's name counts as bothering them. Weiss walks away. One afternoon, you see Mikhail repairing the wooden wheel of a handcart. He is struggling with a bent metal bracket. Without thinking, you crouch beside him. Machines make more sense than politics. You point. He watches. You adjust the bracket with a tool from your kit. For several minutes, neither of you speaks. When the wheel finally turns properly, Mikhail looks at you, then at your uniform. He does not smile. That bothers you more than if he had shouted, because you realize you wanted gratitude. You wanted one repaired wheel to cancel everything the uniform represented to him. It cannot. For weeks, rumors move faster than orders. The Soviets are preparing something. No, they are exhausted. The Western Allies have landed in France. No, they will be pushed into the sea. New German weapons will change everything. Reinforcements are coming. Nobody can tell you where they are. Sergeant Weiss listens to these conversations while cleaning mud from his boots. Finally, Dieter asks what he believes. Weiss looks toward the eastern horizon. I believe roads. What does that mean? If our trucks are driving west empty and returning east full, we are advancing. He points toward the road. The trucks are moving west, loaded. Nobody laughs. On June 22, 1944, the eastern sky begins making a sound you will remember for the rest of your life. The Soviet offensive does not begin like the battles described during training. There is no clean starting line, no speech, no moment when everyone understands what is happening. There is noise, confusion, messages that stop halfway through, positions that answer the telephone and then disappear from communication. By morning, men are asking where neighboring units have gone. By afternoon, officers are asking the same question. You spend most of the first day carrying messages, supplies, and equipment between positions because telephone lines keep failing. The pocket watch remains inside your tunic. You check it constantly, not because the time matters, because touching something from home does. Dieter finds you near a damaged command post. He has lost his helmet somewhere. You think we're leaving? You look at the road behind him. It is already crowded with vehicles moving west. I think everyone else is. The order finally comes after sunset. Withdraw. Then another message arrives. Hold. Then another. Withdraw immediately. Sergeant Weiss folds the paper. We're going west. Someone asks which order he is following. The one that still has a road attached to it. The retreat becomes its own moving country. Soldiers, trucks, horses, civilians, broken vehicles pushed into ditches so the next vehicle can pass. You stop thinking in days. You think in bridges, rivers, fuel, distance. Every few hours, someone says a new defensive line exists somewhere ahead. Every few hours, you reach the place where it was supposed to be and discover more men moving west. And behind you, the Red Army keeps coming. Then, the destruction orders begin. Rail lines are damaged. Bridges are prepared for demolition. Supplies that cannot be moved are destroyed. Buildings useful to the advancing enemy are burned. The language sounds technical. Denial, evacuation, military necessity. Then you stand beside a grain store while flames climb through its roof and watch local civilians staring from the road. Suddenly, the vocabulary becomes simple. Food is burning. Dieter stands beside you. Neither of you speaks. Weeks earlier, you would have said the order was not your decision. Now you understand something worse. You can follow a decision without making it. The consequences do not care about the difference. A few days later, your group reaches a river crossing packed with retreating troops. Vehicles are trying to cross in both directions. Officers shout. Aircraft appear overhead. Everyone scatters. When you return to the crossing, Dieter is gone. You search once, then again. You shout his name until Weiss pulls you toward the road. He could be across already. You know Weiss does not believe it. I'm not leaving. Weiss looks at you. Behind him, hundreds of men are already moving. If he is alive, staying here does not save him. It sounds cold. You hate him for it. Then you move. For months, you never learn what happened to Dieter Falk. There is no dramatic final conversation. No last message. 1 minute he exists beside you. Then, the war removes him from your life. By autumn, the German army has been pushed hundreds of kilometers west. The propaganda broadcasts still speak of determination. But the men around you have stopped discussing victory. They discuss food, leave, home, which roads remain open, whether their families are alive. You notice that nobody says after we win anymore. They say if we get back. Winter finds you in East Prussia. You are 19 now. At a replacement position, a new soldier joins your group. His name is Rudy. He is 16. His coat is too large for him. He keeps adjusting his helmet because it slips over his eyes. He asks you how many battles you have fought. The question shocks you, not because of what he asks, because of how old you suddenly sound when answering. A year earlier, veterans looked impossibly old to you. Now, a 16-year-old looks like a child. You understand why Weiss rarely answered your questions. Germany is running out of everything: fuel, vehicles, experienced soldiers, time, but it still has boys. In January 1945, another Soviet offensive tears open the front. This time, civilians are moving with you. Families drag suitcases through snow. Carts fill the roads. People abandon belongings when they become too heavy. The army that once crossed Europe eastward is now trying to move through the same roads in reverse. You see railway stations packed with refugees. For the first time, you think about your father standing in the Leipzig signal office. You wonder what trains he is directing now. Then you remember the trains you once decided were none of your business. The memory arrives differently. You were young. You did not know what you were seeing. Both things are true. Another thing is also true. You learned not to ask. By April, your unit has become a collection of survivors from several different formations. Sergeant Weiss is still with you. Rudy is still with you. Most of the original platoon is not. You are ordered again to hold a position that everyone knows cannot be held for long. Nobody says this openly. Nobody needs to. That evening, Weiss gathers the remaining men. He removes his helmet and places it on the ground. The war is finished, he says. An older soldier protests. Weiss turns toward him. The government may need another month to discover it. The next morning, your group begins moving west, hoping to surrender to Western Allied troops before Soviet forces reach you. You expect surrender to feel humiliating. Instead, when an American soldier motions for you to place your equipment on the ground, you feel something you have not felt in months. Relief. And immediately afterward, shame for feeling relieved. You are searched and marched away with other prisoners. Rudy walks beside you. He keeps looking backward as if somebody might order him to return. Nobody does. The war in Europe ends in May 1945. You are alive. For years, you assumed survival would answer every question. It answers almost none. During captivity, news reaches you about what Allied armies have uncovered across Germany and occupied Europe. Concentration camps, mass murder, starvation, deportations, crimes carried out not by some imaginary country but by the government whose uniform you wore. Some prisoners reject everything immediately. Enemy propaganda, fake photographs, exaggeration. You recognize the reaction. You have used a quieter version of it your entire life. Not our business. You think about Belarus, the burned villages, the confiscated food, the guarded trains at home, the things you witnessed, the things you only suspected, the things you genuinely did not know, and the things you avoided knowing because uncertainty was easier. Months later, you return to Leipzig. The station roof is damaged. Entire blocks around it have disappeared. Your apartment building is still standing. Your mother opens the door. For several seconds, neither of you moves. Then Lotte appears behind her. She is 15 now, almost the age you were when the war still felt distant. Your father comes home after dark. He looks older than you remembered. You give him the pocket watch. The hands stopped during the retreat from Belarus. He turns it over in his palm. You kept it? Yes. Did it help? You think for a long time. No. Your father nods. Then you ask him about the guarded trains, the question you should have asked years earlier. He sits down. At first, he gives you the old answer. He only handled schedules. He did not choose passengers. He did not choose destinations. He had a family. Refusing orders would have changed nothing. You listen. Every explanation sounds familiar. Not because he is lying, because you have your own versions. You tell him about the grain store, about Nadia and Mikhail, about the retreat, about Dieter disappearing, about all the times you said a decision belonged to someone above you. Your father places the broken watch between you. Neither of you forgives the other. Neither of you condemns the other. For the first time, you simply stop hiding behind simpler versions of yourselves. Germany begins rebuilding. So do you. You return to railway work. Lotte opens her old biscuit tin one afternoon. The train tickets are still inside. She laughs. I thought we'd visit all these places. You pick up one of them, Paris. You place it back. Maybe someday. Years pass. The station roof is rebuilt. New trains replace the old ones. Dieter Falk is officially listed as missing. You never learn exactly what happened to him. You marry. You have a son. Then a daughter. The pocket watch remains in a drawer because you cannot decide whether repairing it would feel like preserving something or pretending it never broke. When your daughter is 16, she finds it. Was this from the war? Yes. Were you brave? The question would have been easier if she had asked whether you were frightened. You were. Everyone was. Instead, she wants the version children usually want. Hero, coward, good, bad. One word. You finally understand why adults liked simple answers. They are easier to pass down, so you tell her the truth. You tell her you were young. You tell her you were indoctrinated. You tell her you were afraid. You tell her you followed orders you now wish you had questioned. You tell her there were crimes you did not know about and warning signs you chose not to examine. You tell her wearing a uniform did not erase your ability to make choices, even when those choices were limited and dangerous. And you tell her about Dieter because a person who disappears should not disappear twice. She looks at the broken watch. Are you going to fix it? This time, you say yes. You are nearly 70 when you finally open the case at your workbench. The mechanism is dirty. One tiny wheel is bent. It takes most of the afternoon. When you finish, you wind the watch. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the second hand moves. One tick, another, another. Outside, trains pass through Leipzig carrying students, workers, tourists, families. Nobody salutes them. Nobody promises that history has chosen them for greatness. They are simply going somewhere. You think about what your father told you before the war. Everyone was always telling you what time it was for Germany. He wanted you to learn to look for yourself. You thought he was talking about propaganda. It takes a lifetime to realize he was talking about responsibility. History is not only made by the people giving orders, it is also shaped by millions of smaller decisions beneath them. The questions people ask, the questions they avoid, the things they accept because resisting feels dangerous. The people they decide are none of their business. You close the watch. For decades, You wanted your story to contain a moment when you became completely innocent or completely guilty. It never did. What it gave you instead was something harder: responsibility for the choices that were actually yours. You place the watch in your pocket and step onto the station platform. The clock above the tracks continues forward. So do you. And if you want more history told from inside the lives of ordinary people who had to survive extraordinary times, subscribe. Because the biggest events in history were lived one decision at a time.